Yo, I wanted to get an updated 1.42 Beerus Combo showcase to build on my last Beerus guide, since he got more hits done to his orbs, which allows for more possibilities, and an aerial quarter circle forward special, which impacts enders in the corner. So make sure to master my last video, especially for practical combos mid-screen with details and all, which I will build upon, but we will start this one with his most important changes that I think personally with his new corner combos. That will actually be at the beginning of the video this time. First of all, for his practical universal loops to start them, you can either make them universal with 5S into 2S, and the rest as mentioned in my last video, but this leads to less damage and eats away at hits and decay, but is more hit confirm friendly. The other way is by delaying 2S into 236S, which was found by Kurokaen. When I don't delay, you can see the bottom orb is still there, but when I do delay, all orbs hit. And to end these corner combo loops with the full combos that I'll show in a second, there are two main new combo enders. After you do the L dive, time your JL to hit the orbs, then you have to land and dash super jump JH into J236S. So for the dash super jump part, I like to hold S during the light dive and then just input forward, up, forward, since holding S turns regular jumps into super jumps. From there, you have to time your double jump holding straight up, so pressing 8 into JH, which feels a bit delayed because you have to fully finish your orb summoning animation. Then when you press JH, wait so all the active frames of that heavy finish in order to hit the orbs behind Beerus, and then input J214M. Or else if you do the medium dive too early, you cancel your JH and then the orbs don't hit. The second way is after L dive, still hold S, but hold up forward to float closer, still hitting the orbs with a delayed JL, but after you land, you just simply hold up forward into JH into the rest. This float version feels easier, but on bigger bodies, you need to delay that JH before the 6 orbs. That's why the dash version is recommended for just, universal timing. For both of these though, I just note a delayed JL in the falling back portion to make the enders more consistent. So anyways, what this looks like for his optimal unskilled universal is like so for 6.6k to 6.8k on bigs. Now you need to delay the 2S and you need to delay the JH for the ender here, but on bigs you have to also delay the dash jump JH. And the reason why, as I'm showing it on UI over here, is because if you do it too early, then they'll hit the orbs too early and the ender won't work. But there is a universal timing with a slight delay dash super jump JH, slight delay on that JH that works on everyone. So try to learn that universal timing, but a bigger delay on big. On the biggest characters, this leads to 6.8k. As you can see, kind of eats up more of those first set of orbs, but the ender still works. So as long as you can get them in that aerial orb with a delay JH, then everything falls into place. There's also an alternate ender. When you do the orbs, you want to jump back, so 7, and then slightly delay your JL, especially on bigs. You need a slight delay so you hit the orbs towards them and then press DR right away. This gives you more frame advantage but less damage. And more frame advantage to set up different types of Oki. His normal Oki is really good, but you can set up like 236S and other stuff because you get more frame advantage from a JDR. Even off 2L for like his 50-50 mix-up for hit confirms, you can go into 2L, 5L mediums right away and go into 3 loops and get really good damage, 4.8k and 3.2 bars. If you want a more stable route, you can go for 2 loops, but it is worth doing this. Here's an example of an overhead with just the 2 loops and also only 1 key blast to make it more consistent, more easier for you guys, but try to go into the 3 loops. You get way more output, but even with just 2 loops, you get 5k and 3 bars, which is crazy. You usually want to go into 2M, delay 2S, but if you do 2M, 5M, you can do 2 through 6M and still go into the 2S, 2 through 6S loops. Still going to 3 of those for like, what, 6.3k over here? Off his level 3 mix with a 2 through 6M, then you can air dash high JL or land low 2L. If they get hit by the orb, you can confirm with a dash 2S. And then you go into the loops. The dash after 5H part needs to be very tight in order to go into these loops, but you can do a different version afterwards with just the walk back 5H stuff. Still giving you like what, 4.9k. Here's an almost universal alternate version inspired by Talios, where he does the J226S after the 226M, but this is very inconsistent, and because you use a smash early, you have to end with JDR. That ender is even tighter. That's where the semi-inconsistent universal part comes in. And you end up with less damage anyways. But usually what tends to happen on this route is that the bottom orbs also hit them. If you see that happening, go into 5H and then delay 2S to still kind of try and save the combo. Here's like an alternate ender that you can try to save the combo in. And you can follow concepts like these to create your own Beerus combos. I swear, like, he's actually limitless, bro. Here I use the M orb and then cancel the 226S in the air when the orb does connect. But you can freestyle however you want. I kind of need an assist here for side knockdown though. With auto combo delay J226S, air dash delay JL, you can get this reverse 6 orb summon found by Talios. Here's like an easy ender for that. That one doesn't seem universal, mostly done on smalls, but here is a more universal concept by setting up double J226S setups, and you can kind of go into however you want. Be creative, make sure you understand your team as well. Here's an alternate orb draw inspired by J13, not really a loop, but taking advantage of not delaying the 2S to have a bottom orb for 2L, and then you can get into this unique ender. Here's some easy sauce, but as you can see with all these alternate routes, even if they're harder, even if they add more aerial loops, they don't deal more damage and aren't as easy as the ones I showed at the beginning. On 2H, if you have the meter for it, you can go into these loops, you can get into 3 of these, and here there's 2 enders. Since you lose sliding knockdown, you have to go into the JDR one, which is really hard on smalls, but jump back, delay JL into the Dragon Rush, getting 6k. But you can go into that jumping heavy delay 214M if you want more damage at 6.2k, and if you want to go into supers right away since you don't have sliding knockdown. But you can actually do this without using the EX Orb setup, which is way more optimal. And this is done by doing an air dash jam as usual, but doing a max delay quarter circle forward light, held light, into the 2S, then you go into the loops. This results in 6.6k by doing the JH14M way, but you need to go into supers right away since you don't have sliding knockdown, which leads to 8.6k. God damn! Of course, off 2H you can get the DR way as well, but off Dragon Rush, not only does the combo have to be shorter, but you cannot get a Dragon Rush for sliding knockdown at all, so you have to go into the dive. And on bigger characters here, it doesn't work on smalls. You can use aerial juggle by delaying J2H and holding that medium orb. Not bad, I think you can get one more here for 4.7. And you can use these strategies whenever Beerus is close to the corner to get into the loops by delaying the super dash, air dash, JM into the EX orbs. And you need the little micro dash here between the little loops, but you can still result in 6.3k and more. Here's an alternate version inspired by Kai using the EX orbs, where you have to delay the 2 a little bit, delay the 5S, and then micro dash after 226S into 2H, and then continue with the combo ender that we went over at the start of the video for up to 6.6k, which is dope. Kai found a much more fancy close to the corner combo. We're gonna have to break this down, but essentially you delay the 5M 226H holding up, and then JL delay 5M 226L, and then you're able to dash up to go in the corner for 5.4k. So here's what I mean. Right after you do the EX orbs, you press JL as fast as you can because that pushes the orb out in front for a better angle, and then you press a delayed 5M to catch them as the character is coming down in order for it to link to 236L. So that quarter circle light is done right after the 5M, and that has a lot of hit stun that you can just dash. That dash part is so free. Midscreen revolves all around rejumps and orb extensions, but I do want to build off of his EX orbs or rejumps using the auto combo for a simple one here. You need to delay the JM after the air dash and delay the held EX orbs, and with nice timings you can get something like this to go. It is universal but easier on bigs. So these are easy to make your own. I highly encourage it, but the more hits that you land, the more you'll need his EX dive to end with sliding knockdown, so just be aware of that when building your own combos. Now his new Midscreen Optimal by Kai revolves around this orb extension close to the corner that we spoke about earlier, but you can land on auto combo now mid-screen. These are universal, but timings can vary. So for example, GT and Z Broly actually have the same timings, but on UI there's no delay on 2M 5M. Because of that, mids and bigs tend to be harder to time the 2M delay 5M on. If you do mess up with the timings and both of the EX orbs land, you can just super dash afterwards and still get a knockdown. Just a slight delay helps on UI, but there's a more optimal version with a deep dash 2S 236S, then 2L for the bottom orb into auto combo, getting a knockdown with delay 214M. Here's a much harder full optimal version by Kai, needing the deep dash 2S but using 236L into the air dash. But the hardest part is timing that JH to hit them and the low orb, so your auto combo can link. Here's a skilled example of these combo concepts with the easier ender to be more consistent by delaying the M dive after the orbs hits, needing to start the combo with 0.1 bars but getting 4.4k damage out of it. Another interesting juggle is with this sort of TKEX orbs. On bigs you have to press straight up to jump, holding up on the EX orbs as well, and then timing the second set of 236H and then freestyling. Making note that if you hold down on the EX orbs, it lunges you forward to continue combos. If you micro dash after your second EX orbs and hit a 5H, you can keep it going with a dash jump JH on the orb to go into another aerial orb kick to keep it going. It's pretty easy on UI actually, and if you delay the second EX orbs it makes the rest easier, and you can actually add in dash up to West 2 through 6S, but EX dive becomes needed on longer combos. So yeah, credits to TaliosDrakei for coming up with these EX orb combo theory concepts, but you can freestyle into a lot, like grounded 5H and use assists for consistency. Now the EX Orb extensions are a bit easier and better after the EX dive because they're always going to be at a fixed height, so timings are easier. And remember, with like Blue Vegeta or Android 16, you can get Saiyan knockdown with their grab. Can you be more optimal like so? Delay the JL after the air dash, delay the EX Orbs, delay the J8 so that they're low to the ground and it hits the Orbs. Then you can continue however you want, Vanish in here for a JDR. It is universal, but it's easier on bigs. Then you can add extra EX Orbs to continue however you want, but remember, you do lose Saiyan knockdown. You can actually go into side switches, freestyle however you want. He has endless creative expressions, but you can also just use an assist at the end to get JDR. That might be the most stable way to secure a knockdown. On bigs with big delays on that air dash JL, you can do a dash 2H into 236H, walk up a little bit, delay 5H, and you can get 236S stuff. But I don't really know how to end this combo over here. Now for a couple extra notes, in my last video I spoke about how after Vanish you can do a deep dash 2S into 236S into anything that you want, but that route was hella hard. A much more stable route is doing delay 236L, and then you can get that deeper dash. It's more lenient, and then you can go into any route that you want, still get Saiyan knockdown. As you see me doing on GT Goku here, you can even add an EX Orbs, but doing the delay 236L trick lowers the damage. So while it makes it easier for Sauce, it lowers the output. When you're further away, the timing can be a bit more strict on that J236L, but you can freestyle however you want. Double EX Orbs, jumping up JH, J236L. You can just keep on adding and adding. I could spend hours freestyling and experimenting around, to be honest. And a couple tips for assist extensions. You want to try to get into J236L again because you just have so much hits on it. And then at the end of your combos, if you do EX dive, you still have time to do a light dive and then call your assist to stack on extra damage. Some assists can also help you get those Midscreen 2S 236S combos, which is really nice, into the auto combo here. Again, delaying your J214M. For a couple simple sparking notes, you want to get in the habit of canceling 214L with 236L. The time is kind of vary, you want to cancel a bit earlier, and then at the end, cancel it into the medium dive. And you can keep repeating these to get pretty easy but saucy loops like so midscreen, which isn't too difficult. Just make sure that your sparking doesn't run out. And once you get really good with that, you can do 214M into an early 236L, and then you can get juggles like this midscreen, doing a deep dash before doing 214M again, but you have to cancel it with the L orb really early. And then you end with all of your dives with 226, and this leads to a TOD and limit break. Remember, timing your level 2 and then doing 214H plus S to track. So I guess we're on TODs now, and something practical you can do in the corner is you can go light dive into 236S, and then you do 5H, and you can go back into your corner loop. So this is something really practical while you're mid spark, ending the combo with light dive 236S, medium dive into a supers. So if you find yourself mid spark and you get a hit, try to go into these for easier loops, easier access to loops. Here's an example of a two-man TOD. You can optimize this even further, but without limit break, you can kind of go into these close to the corner routes, ending with an assist after the L to EX dive 236S to land the auto combo, and then you cash out with all your dives, going to level 1 into level 1. And you can be more meter optimal if you have more assists as well. And his most iconic loop I spoke about in my last video is his 214S cancels. Remember, you can do this off scale starters, you can do it after tagging him in, and you can actually do more loops here doing TK 214S, but I want to show off a new ender with the aerial orbs, doing light medium dive into the aerial orbs, and you can get an alternate ender with a JDR as well. You can get even more optimal than that with more loops, like I said, and here's an example of 2H. You can actually do L dive into spark to whiff it to be more optimal, but here I showed the JDR ender. And that about wraps it up for Beerus. I hope you guys enjoyed this little guide thing, because his combos are crazy now. So I hope this gives you a little guideline to make your own. And I'll see y'all next time, man. Peace.